Hello, this is Gigal, and it was a very long time. It was a very, very long time because I dedicate all the past years, all the 5, 6 past years to the French, to my French people. So I was only publishing in French, and well, now I decided to start again to do articles, to do videos, to do lives, YouTube lives in English. So I'm starting again. I know you disappeared a lot because you were discouraged because for maybe during 7 years I was not communicating in English, but now I will start again, and I hope you will see this live. I know that we are, for the moment, 22 person. It is not very much, of course, when comparing to the French live I just did with hundreds of people. But I will do it anyway, and step by step, I will get again my English followers, my English speaking followers. So guys, we are 22 now. Thank you so much to be there. And we will speak tonight about a very interesting topic, and which is Egypt before the pharaohs, also about the dating and the mess of the dating in ancient Egypt, about ancient Egypt, and so on. For the people that don't know me, you have just to know that I am a researcher, and I did research on ancient Egypt during more than 25 years in Egypt, in the ground of Egypt. It's a big difference comparing to the others, because I studied the text. I was at university to study the hieroglyphic texts, and I did a lot of research in many languages because I graduated in the Sorbonne in Paris University. But then I did my proper research because I could not follow the academia on many things, many topics. And I decided to go on in Egypt all the year long during more than 20 years. And then from the COVID thing, I am in France, blocked. I hope not for a long time, but anyway, it's good because I could do a lot of things. I did masterclasses online in French that has a lot of success. So I will start also to bring to you these masterclasses in English and translating them. And I hope it will be a nice thing for us to share and to speak about. But for the moment, we are together, and I thank you so much, the English-speaking people. I thank you a lot, all my followers from United States of America, and all the English-speaking people in England, in New Zealand, in Australia, in South Africa. I went there a lot of time in the past, and I bring also Australians and South Africans to Egypt, to visit Egypt with my way. So I hope we renew all, and you will enjoy this. And to start, I will tell you that I will try to do English YouTube live every first Saturday of the month and every last Saturday of the month. So you will get 2 lives by month, I hope. And please comment and forward to all the people you know, because I need to regain this English-speaking people to my followers, and to show you what I learned in Egypt and in the text, and in a lot of things. So I see that we are 25. Thank you so much to be there. And I just look at my tablet 1 second and we will start. I am watching if, oh, okay. I don't know if I can see. Yes, the live is online. Please tell me if you hear me well. Oh, I see that some of my French followers are there. Thank you so much, my friends, to encourage me. And as for the English-speaking people, as it's a new thing, I don't know is for you the time, because the problem when you are in France to speak to the English-speaking people in all the countries is very complicated because the timetable, and I know that it's not very good time to speak to for people in New York, for example, and because in New York it's now 5 p.m. and it's Saturday, and so it's complicated. And in Pacific time in Los Angeles is 2 p.m. And but anyway, in France, where I am now, it's 11 p.m. It's late in the night. But thank you, Marie-Paul, for your tip. Thank you so much. And well, we will start this anyway. But please comment and tell me, send me mails, or I am on Telegram at Gigal Official. It's in French, Gigal Official, and I am on Messenger. I am everywhere on my website, gigalinsights.com. You can write to me, and you will see. You will tell me if these times are okay for you, because I can start a YouTube live in English at 2 p.m. of my time, because I will not be able to work the following days. So tell me if you have suggestions about that. It will be nice for me. So my friends, thank you to my French followers that after the French live I did are again in this live. So we will start this topic today. It's a very important topic, in fact. And as you know, it's remaining gray areas in the history of this fascinating Egypt. How did this civilization begin? Why does the papyrus of Manetho, which provides the chronology of the pharaohs, disturb official Egyptology so much? So we will try to answer to this question tonight. And you know that the pre-Pharaonic past of Egypt remains a very great enigma, because the question remains as to what exactly occurred during the mysterious period prior to 3000 BC. Date of the appearance of the first official pharaoh, known as Menes Narmer, and at that time, in a few decades, without preliminaries, there appeared suddenly and in a surprisingly perfect way, writing, pyramids, erudite astronomy, techniques, and knowledge, everything that goes with a civilization of a very high sophistication. All that seems to have arrived very quickly, as stated so well the English Egyptologist Toby Wilkinson. He said they seem to have no ancestors, or periods of development. They seem to have appeared overnight. End of the quote. And Maspero, the French Egyptologist, indicates to us, moreover, about the Egyptian text I open a quote, the religion and the texts which made it known to us were already established before the first dynasty. So, before the first dynasty, this great Egyptologist, that is Maspero, he founded the Museum of Cairo, and he was the director of the Museum of Cairo, said the religion and the texts which made it known to us were already established before the first dynasty. And in order to understand them, he said, we need to put ourselves in the frame of mind of the people who, more than 7,000 years ago, erected them. So this is a quote from his Journal of History and Religions. So you read well, before the first dynasty. So it's very, very, very important to understand that. And the ancient Egyptians viewed their civilization as a heritage coming directly from beings that existed in Egypt thousands of years before the Pharaonic dynasties that we know. The papyrus of Torino, or more exactly, the Royal Canon, displayed at the Museum of Egyptology of Torino in Italy, written in hieroglyphics and dating back to Ramses II, presents a list of all the pharaohs who reigned in the land of Egypt. This list includes not only the historical pharaohs, but also the divine pharaohs coming from elsewhere and having reigned before the first dynasty of Menes. We were also told that the preceding lineage would have reigned 13,420 years. A little hard to let this go unnoticed, and yet a kind of consensus, kind of omerta, reigns on this subject in official circles, preferring to regard this lineage as mythical. They all the time say mythical. The subject, so the subject is so easier to evade. 160 fragments of this document were brought to Torino by the Italian Drovetti, who was consul of France in Egypt in 1822. However, as by chance, we miss certain fragments corresponding to the whole beginning of the list. This is amazing, no? Just part that is interesting. Our Champollion, the French Champollion, had measured in his time all the true importance of the document to be able to reach a real dating. But fortunately, the stele known as of Palermo, the Palermo stele, also is saying that the so-called mythical pre-dynastic kings going back to thousands of years, it refers to Horus himself, who would have reigned truly over the land of Egypt. Tehuti, would have reigned approximately from 8,670 before Christ to 7,100 BC. After the night of the battle, says Manetho. Manetho is Man and Tot. It's an Egyptian priest. And his testimony about all that is so important. When he wrote his Theogamy, a genealogy of the dynasties known as divine, which would have reigned on earth. Hesiod, the renowned historian, and moralists living at the time of Homer held primarily his information of Egyptian high priests. The Egyptian high priest Manentot of Sebennytos in the delta of Egypt, master of the secrets in the 3rd century before Christ, who had access to the library of Alexandria and who wrote for Pharaoh a history of Egypt, 30 dynasties in Greek, because it was the time of the Ptolemy of the Greek in Egypt. The Aegyptiaca, his book name, but it's a book in a lot of volume, where he also cited this pre-dynastic dynasties of divine origin. What is curious but significant is that the Egyptologists still use today the dating from Manentot. He is recognized as perfectly reliable for everything related to the officially recognized dynasties, but they avoid carefully anything that relates to the prehistoric dynasties, yet still they regard him as the father of Egyptology. This is so curious, no? Quite curious intellectual acrobatics to remain politically correct. Official Egyptology avoids speaking too much of Manentot because for it some of the details given are extremely disturbing. Manentot wrote, for example, that according to the stele coming from the Netcheru of the first real dynasty, more than 20,000 works were attributed to Thoth, Tehuti, Hermes. He also reported that this same Netcheru means gods, but gods is a very bad translation. Netcheru is more the energies of the cosmos, of the cosmic energies, the divine energies of God, had reigned from years 33,894 years to 23,642 BC. It must feel uncomfortable coming from one who holds all the official chronology of the dynasties recognized authentic. So, this is told, I will continue, but with a lot of those things to continue this topic. Thank you, Black Being, to write comments. Thank you so much. Hello, Joe. Hello, Zakaria. Yes, finally in English. I do lives in English. Yes, Ziggy. Joe. Thank you, Ziggy. Yes, this is a live in English, and I am doing other topics than in the French live I did previously. And I will start English lives from now, every month, 2 by month, the first Saturday of the month and the last Saturday of the month. So I continue. To help to clarify this confusion of dating, because a lot of confusion of dating, I will try to explain it in as simple as possible. This confusion of the dating of an ancient Egypt chronology is mainly due to the fact that we still have to discover 19% of the physical evidence of the ancient Egyptian legacy, because we need to excavate much more the territory. Indeed, we lack we lack of many elements because we are only at the beginning of Egyptology. It is a science still recent, dating from the campaign of Egypt of Bonaparte from 1798 only. Who had Napoleon, who had brought with him a group of 160 extraordinary scientists who began to map and document the monumental and archaeological finds of the country. And today, every day, archaeologists find something, dig new sites in Egypt. It is a fantastic quest that takes a lot of time because of the tons of sand accumulated for centuries, and because 3 months a year, sandstorms rages in Egypt and covers what has been discovered the few previous months. You don't have to forget that Egypt is 98% of desert and sand. But let us deepen this problem of dating and by speaking of the first Egyptian writings. Two facts are dominant. First, until now, the oldest recognized historical document in Egypt is the Narmer palette, found at the end of the 19th century in the ruins of the ancient Hierakonpolis. The name in ancient Egyptian is Nechen and dated 3100 BC. And I will show you a photo, just a photo of Nechen, in order you understand where it was found. The supposed more ancient document, written document. But you will see that we found a lot of other writing documents, much more older. So this is Nechen, where I am. Okay, it's not a touristic place, as you can see. It's ruins, but very, very ancient, and it's very, very interesting and important. And it is there behind this wall that were found the text, the palette of Narmer. So, in 1999, Dr. John Coleman Darnell of the Yale team, the University of Yale, in Gigal Youtube. Gigal Youtube is in a mountain between the Red Sea and the Nile, a cliff in the desert, 20 kilometers northwest of Luxor, found inscriptions appearing to be very ancient hieroglyphics and a scene with symbols of more than 5,250 years, representing a victorious pharaoh, that is to say, dating from before the first official pharaoh of the first dynasty in the classical list that you learn at the university, without all the dynasties before that Manetho wrote on the, you can find it on the Turino papyrus. And when you know that the invention of writing is regarded as the great divide between prehistory and history, this discovery pushed back the beginning of Egypt well before the one commonly admitted. It will be necessary one day to accept the existence of the dynasties before the so-called first one, officially they called the Zero Dynasty, whereas we have plenty of evidence today of previous dynasties. In any case, the discovery of Coleman is a significant addition to a growing body of evidence that the first true writing began in Egypt and not in the ancient Sumer, Babylon, in what is now Iraq, as the researchers have believed during all that time. This is very important to understand that now we have archaeological evidence coming. Then there are the findings of Dr. Dreyer, director of the German Archaeological Institute in Egypt, who found in an Abydos tomb inscriptions with phonetic elements on pots, bones, on ivory plates, very old hieroglyphics, and it was dated earlier than 3250 BC. This precedes writing, he said, Dr. Dreyer said, this precedes writing in Mesopotamia, which started early as an accounting system but took time to move from simple pictures to signs that represent sounds of speech. Thanks to recent excavations, we can be sure that dynasties existed before Dynasty 1 and that they were historical ones with writings. It was completely denied a few years ago. So there are dating evidences not yet discovered for the chronology because of the many sites not yet excavated, over 80% of the territory, or evidences just discovered and in the process of being accepted, even if it's long and unbearable for some people. Then there are ancient evidences forgotten or poorly translated. For example, the famous French Egyptologist Maspero, who said in 1885 about the early texts of the ancient Egyptians, they were already perfectly composed before the first dynasty. So, you see, there are a lot of evidence. I am trying to find for you a photo. This is Maspero. For the people who don't know him, he built the first Egyptian museum in Cairo. And I forgot to show you the Palermo stone, very well known, where you have all the dynasties too. And I forgot to show you the Torino papyrus, about a fragment of it. And okay, we continue. I'm just watching the tablet in to see. Hello, Alessio. Oh, thank you, Tehuti, to say that what a pleasure to hear you back in English. We misses you. Thank you so much. I miss you too, you know. But I was working a lot for the French and I am continuing, but I will start with you again. Hello, Claudine. Thank you. Thank you, Tehuti, to say that real true teachings are not so often given, and let's say I feel always for sure great insights. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Harrison is speaking about Maspero, saying that it's a good man. He gave the Egyptian treasure of Egypt. Thank you, Valerie. So we continue, guys. It is nevertheless extraordinary to note that the earliest Egyptologists, men of the field, and with a genuine knowledge of the whole Egyptian territory for having traversed it in its totality, which is not the case for those of now. You know, all the academicians, all the university Egyptologists in the university, sometimes they come to Egypt, sometimes once in their lifetime, or one time by a year. It's not enough. So it's very surprising to see that the ancient Egyptologists had seen right, and it is totally forgotten. And Maspero is not the only one. We have also the work of the first dynasty made by the French archaeologist, another one, Émile Amelino, around 1890, who found evidences of the existence of an advanced people before the first official dynasty. Amelino found many artifacts in Abydos. So he found the writing, the description and writing of the Aunu people in Abydos. Please, Anu don't mean Anunnaki. This is totally different, okay? Because I see a lot of mix and mess, everything in the web. On the web, it's so stupid sometimes. So they have built the cities of Esna. So these Anu people, Aunu people, they built the city of Esna. The name of Esna in the past was Anutsini. And they built also Arment. The ancient name is Anu Menti. And Gebelein, the ancient name is Anu. And they had extensive agriculture, cattle breeding. They had fortress, they knew writing, metal tools, etc. And experts like Chandler, for example, thinks that Osiris, Horus, Hermes, etc., were Aunu people. And Anu was also the name of Osiris. And he was supposed to be the fourth pharaoh on earth. And for that reason, the Greeks called him Onufris, the good, because he brings to the people all the knowledge about agriculture and many other things. The great Flinders Petrie found at Abydos a fantastic Aunu document. It is a faience style in which is depicted a chief Aunu with his name and address at Hermant. I show you. There is his name and his address at Hermant in this hieroglyphic. And but they are not the only ones pre-dynastic. You also have the Mesnitu coming from Punt, from Somalia, and they were metal workers. There are also other groups like the Beja and the Rechitu coming from Coptos, in the Nile Valley. They are the Amu with Asian traits but dressed as Egyptians and living in the mountains. And also there is there are the Nehesi coming from southern Sudan, and the Temehu from the western desert and Libya. And the Temehos, it is them who made the drawings in the Tassili caves in Algeria. And all these people were not simple natives, but were very organized and had a lot of knowledge. An archaeological discovery of a much earlier dating of civilization was discovered a few years ago, 250 kilometers south of Aswan in Kadan, in tombs with physical proofs of a high-level civilization. The dating obtained is from 13,000 to 9,000 years before Christ. You imagine? And this is not told, but it's a true archaeological discovery by a university team, which is much older than the Sumerian period, or even the period of Ubaid, beginning only 6,000 years before Christ. A Belgian team also discovered a human skeleton near Dendera in the Taramsa Hill with pottery dating from 30,000 years to 33,000 years ago. We see here how necessary it is to excavate incessantly and even more in this vast territory that is Egypt to strengthen the truth. So it's very incredible. I am searching if I have there the PDF about the excavation they did. Yes, it is Van Peer and Vermersch, Taramsa Boreal, 210. I will put it on the description anyway after the live. So this is true discoveries and so ancient ones, so incredible, very, very ancient ones. I'm watching the... Thank you, André Louise. Thank you, Tehuti. Thank you. Well, I continue. I see that we are 30 people. It's a little more. So, ancient Egyptians have always regarded the civilization as a direct inheritance of divine beings that existed in Egypt thousands of years before the official dynasties that we recognize today. And this is attested in the Papyrus of Torino, as I told you at the start of this live, dating from Ramses II, listing all the pharaohs, and not only the dynastics we know, but also the so-called divine pharaohs before the reign of the first officially recognized Menes. Ancient Egyptians were not in the habit of mixing fiction with reality, especially in lists as important as those of the leaders of their country, and they did not lie. So one must one day consider the real existence of these pharaohs before Menes, Narmer, as so many different documents attest to their existence, but suddenly it is a lot of things in relation to the geopolitics and the beliefs that will be turned upside down, putting in play many collateral datings in the Middle East, you know. It's terrible, but politics is everywhere. It's missing and it's putting mess everywhere, even and maybe more in history and records of history. And then we also have the so-called stele of Palermo, giving the names of these divine pharaohs, as I told you. And in this list, there is Horus, for example, who is considered to have ruled as a Norman human person. I did a live in French about the Osiris of flesh and blood. It is very interesting. Anyway, all the lives I did in French, I will give you again in English for you, because I did a lot of research about all those topics. So, Manettot, what they did with the list of Manettot is incredible. So, if you Manettot explained about the so-called divine dynasties, that they are divided into three parts: the gods, but it's a bad translation. It's the divines, the energy, the divine energies, and the divine ones. More, it's better to say that. The second, the heroes with supernatural skills, and the manes, glorious being, in fact, our spiritual ancestors. As for the gods, Manettot explained that they are divided into 7 kinds, and that these gods are originating from the earth. I take the quote of the text. These gods are originating from the earth, and that then they have become celestial, going to heaven. Native from the earth. This is very interesting. So they are not native of another planet, okay? They are native from the earth. Osiris himself says in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, once again, the right translation of this book is the book of coming forth by day. He said, Osiris, inside this text, we have, of course, the text. He said, the tunnels of the earth gave birth to me. This is so interesting, no? Don't you think? So, the tunnels of the earth gave birth to me. It's so interesting that nowadays we hear a lot about the tunnels, the under earth, and all that stuff. They were, in fact, intraterrestrials. This is why maybe the underground network is so important. And Plutarch, the influential Greek philosopher and historian, wrote, I am quoting him, Osiris became the pharaoh of Egypt with Isis, and they built Theba, Luxor. So Osiris and the other gods had, according to the ancient texts, a real earthly historical life. These historians all are speaking first of a genealogy of the gods reigning in Egypt over 200 years, and then of the Shemsuhor reigning for 3,400 years, and then the official pharaohs that we know. The reign of each divine king is about hundreds of years. So this is, of course, unacceptable for academics. But I ask then why they accept, for example, the long lifespan of the prophets of the Bible, like Enoch. for example, who lives 360 years. Many factors actually can explain today such a lifetime. Earth's gravity was maybe different at the time. Aging was maybe slower. Density could be less. DNA could be better protected, etc., etc. Many theories that can be the right ones about that. So, all this is adding to the confusion of the chronology, and this, of course, has great repercussions on the dating. Moreover, other errors occur sometimes when the dating of a monument is made. For example, for the Great Pyramid, samples of mortar were taken neither high enough nor deep enough in it. And the problem is that the pharaohs of all the dynasty have made restorations of their monuments, and so one often gets a dating of one of the restoration, but not the dating of the origin of the monument. And that happens more often than one thinks. Not long ago, academics refused the mere fact that multiple restorations were carried out by different pharaohs. Fortunately, it changes, but we also tend to take the last cartouche affixed to a monument as a reliable dating, when often several pharaohs had affixed their cartouche before erasing their predecessors. So for that also, it's very difficult, the dating in ancient in Egypt. Only field people having worked on sites during years and having the general archaeological culture of the whole Egypt are able to determine a good dating and having an open and impartial mind to consider a chronology as a whole. This is very, very, very important to understand. Very, really, and a lot of people still don't understand that. So we saw the existence of several very ancient groups in Egypt. We saw that writings in Egypt is much more ancient, writing and civilization. And there is also another thing. Professor Walter Emery, who born in 1903 and died in 1971, he was an excellent archaeologist, 45 years of excavation in Egypt, and author of the book Archaic Egypt, excellent book, found in tombs the remains of people who lived in pre-dynastic times north of Upper Egypt. The characteristics of these bodies and skeletons are incredible. The skulls of an uncommon volume are dolichocephalic. The brain pan seen by its upper part is oval, the biggest length being approximately 1/4 of the greatest width, and sometimes the usual suture are invisible. The skeletons are larger than the average of the zone, and especially the skeletal frame is broader and heavier. He did not hesitate to compare them to the followers of Horus and found that in their lifetime they filled an important priestly role. With regard to the long-headed dolichocephalic skulls, it seems that it's not about a prehistoric lineage of evolution, but rather of a lineage coming from a cycle of civilization prior to the deluge. These dolichocephalic skulls have already been found in several regions of the world. Le Dr. Von Tschudi and Marian Rivero in Peru counted 3 pre-Incas dolichocephalic races: the Chinchas, the Aymaras, and the Hoacan. Certain researchers found that if the Chinchas had a lengthened skull, it is because they bandaged skulls of their children in order to resemble the 2 other groups who did not practice the skull binding head bandage. We managed to determine that the group of origin having the strongest natural characteristics were that of the Chinchas. They would have preceded the first Inca Manco Capac and would have influenced at the same time the Incas and the Mayas later. Researchers Veril and Posnansky point out that the oldest pre-Inca city in Peru, Tiahuanaco, dates from the same time as pre-dynastic Egypt, and dolichocephalic skulls of this time period are found in the Tiahuanaco Museum. It is therefore asserted that there exists an antediluvian race found a little everywhere around the globe, and that race had a naturally elongated conical skull, as some researchers affirm. Among them, Dr. Tschudi, because he possesses a fossilized fetus of 7 months with a dolichocephalic skull still in the womb of a mother from that time. All that is far from being politically correct, because these facts call in question genetics and the history of evolution. It is then only very slowly that people absorb these data. Let us quote as a demonstration the fact that dolichocephalic skulls have been withdrawn from the view of the public in the Museum of the La Valette in Malta, undoubtedly to avoid offending religions, mentalities, etc. Indeed, in Malta, there were found approximately 7,000 dolichocephalic skulls in the hypogea of Hal Saflieni and the tombs of the megalithic temples of Taxien and Gyantia. And in this place, Dr. Anton Misford and Charles Savonaventura analyzed the skulls. They arrived at the same conclusion as in Peru, while managing to identify 3 different groups, some completely natural of origin and others having undergone bandages. This also suggests an even closer link with Egypt. Don't forget that Malta, the island of Malta in the Mediterranean Sea, is very near Egypt also. I am watching yes. So the former name of Malta is Melita, of the Latin name Melita Honey. The symbol of Malta is a bee with its hexagonal cell rays. Let us not forget that the symbol of the pharaoh in Egypt also is a bee, named Beti, which gives him one of his titles. Honey was reserved to the pharaoh and to the chief priests, and Mel, or Mer, was one of the names attributed to the pyramids in Egypt. In addition, sun worship prevailed in Malta as in Egypt. However, the dolichocephalic caste disappeared at the same time in Malta and in Egypt. In my own research, I note that there would have been undoubtedly a migration of these dolichocephalic beings from Egypt towards Malta, we find traces of it in the Cretan civilization too. In common, they had in common the building of megalithic monuments. It formed a dominant priestly caste wherever it was. These people could well be the descendants of an antediluvian race. Perhaps, but are they the famous Shemsuhar? Are they the famous Shemsuhar? I'm not sure. Today, what does says the oral tradition still alive among certain Egyptians, initiated from generation to generation? It says that the term Shemsuhar term would have been very poorly translated. The designation of followers of Horus is not convincing. For them, I am talking about the oral tradition Egyptian I know, which name of the tribe is Ta, the Ta people. There is also another problem, is that all this fashion about the name Kemet. Kemet is a very recent name in ancient Egypt, and it was a name only applied to the ground, to the earth, between each side of the Nile, you know, the black earth, but it's a very narrow place, each side of the Nile. This was Kemet. But it was not the name of ancient Egypt, nor of the ancient Egyptian, not at all. The ancient name of Egypt was Tameri, the beloved country, the beloved earth. Ta is the earth. Mer is the pyramids. It is the light. It is the measurements. It is the earth of the measurement. The earth of the pyramids, Tameri. Okay, it's very important to understand that. And for them, so I met the latest descendants of the Ta people, who are not the Kemetians. It's completely different. They are the true descendants of the ancient Egyptians. They don't like to speak. They are very. It's very difficult to enter in contact with them. But they chose me 20 years ago. They chose to contact me. At the start, I was not convinced, but after studying some things and knowing them, it was amazing what I found. And I did 2 or 3 videos about them. I think there is one in English in my list, videos in English. You can check. But I have to do a lot more because I learned so much things. So for them, the word is initially Seshuhor and not Shemsuhar. Okay, the real origin is Seshuhor and indicates in very ancient Egypt what they called the principle evolved of man. The word Zeptepi that Boval and Hancock have translated into the prime time would be for them and the British Egyptologist Raymond. The British Egyptologist Raymond is fantastic too. To be translated by when God manifested in the humans. It is to say when the humans were inspired by God. Very important. And the exact sentence found on the walls of the Temple of Edfu is, I can speak ancient Egyptian, so I will tell you what is written in ancient Egyptian, is Nitshur Hebrem Septepi. That is to say, the sanctified God who had suddenly come to be born at the first opportunity. The keepers of the oral tradition say that these words, those refer back to one time when the divine appeared among the humans to raise their consciousness. The tribes, which gave later the 42 norms or regions, it is to say it was 22 tribes at the origin, which gave later the 22 norms or regions, began to lose their subtle senses. They're speaking, they are explaining that. Indeed, if we now have our 5 senses today, for the wisdom keepers at this time, they had 365 the exact numbers of the days of 1 year. So you can imagine 365 senses. The divine persona manifested more and more at that time to try to halt the degradation and the loss of senses of the Shesh people, and to try to preserve the communion with the 360 natural. They had 365 natural as the day, as the year, as the days in the year, and as the senses. The divine persona manifested more and more at that time to try to halt the degradation and the loss of senses of Shesh. We have in the beginning these people, Shesh, consisting of 42 tribes, including the Anu, I was speaking to you before, of various origins, having united and having had prestigious ancestors like Anubis, Osiris. Anubis, of course, is a Greek name, but Anup and Osiris, etc., and the mysterious dolichocephalic race. One thing is certain: Egypt was an incredible melting pot of mixed races, and it will be necessary to continue to seriously study the origin of these people. One knows already by all the documents of ancient Egypt that the Egyptian people came from the country of Punt, and today the scientists are struggling to locate it geographically, placing it in turn in Ethiopia, in Sudan, or elsewhere. The richest and most convincing thesis, in my opinion, is that of the director of research of the Institute of Egyptology, François Doma, Dimitri Mix, who places Punt in Arabia as it is the only fully convincing thesis in relation with the text. As soon as we can conduct research over there, I am certain that we will learn much more about the early Egyptian, but the researcher will have to become more open to a new paradigm, that of a very advanced civilization existing long before the last deluge. So, my friends, this is all for today. And hello, Angel. And I hope you will see this live again. And so tell me what you think, etc., in the comments. And please like this video. And tell me if the time it's okay, because as I told you at the start of this live, it's complicated for me to know, because for me it is now 12:13 in the morning. no, it is to say it is before 1 in the morning. So it's hard to do lives for everybody on the planet with all the differences. So thank you so much to have come to this live. And I hope we will continue together. The next live in English, I will do it at the end of this month, the last Saturday of this month. But I want to share with you a lot of things, even about this topic, because it's not finished. There are a lot of things to say. For example, I discovered the antediluvian hieroglyphs before the flood, before the deluge. They are very ancient hieroglyphics before that time. I can show you. It was found by people, scholars at the time of Napoleon in Egypt. And you have a lot of things to learn. And me too, of course. I continue every day. So I hope you will enjoy this live. My name is Antoine Gigal. And thank you, André-Louise. Thank you. And of course, today there are only a very few people watching it because it's the first time after 7 years that I'm starting again to do things in English. But I hope all my followers, my previous followers in English speaking, will come again when they discover that I am doing again work in English. So I don't know where you are in the world now, but maybe have a good day or have a good night. And I hope you will enjoy all that in these very strange times we are living. And for that, I do the master classes because I try to take all what I learned about the ancient Egyptian, about the time we are living, because they told us about that time, and it's amazing. And that is in my first masterclass, Sahmat. I am translating it in English, so I hope in 3-4 months it will be ready. So you will enjoy also that. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good night. And take care of you. Oh, I see friends are coming now. Please, my friends, I am taking my tablet to see the comments. Thank you, Tehoti, for your comments. Thank you, the Great Pyramid. This is a friend. Hi, Antoine. I just got on. Hey, I want to see you when I come to Egypt in April. Where can I meet you? You will meet me anyway. I am everywhere in Egypt. You just ask for me. The people will tell you. So thank you. And please see again my lives. It will be a replay. And thank you. Thank you, Alessio. Good night. Good night. Good day, everyone. Take care of you and have faith, because the ancient Egyptians show us the way of the future. So thank you so much and take care of you.